Good day everyone, I am Brendel M. Susas, a fourth year civil engineering student, and today I will report the Department of Public Works and Highways Blue Book, item 610 to 612. So for the coverage of this report, I will discuss the item 610, sodding, the item 611, tree planting and reflective thermoplastic stripping material, item 612. So for sodding, this item shall consist of furnishing and laying of live sod on the shoulders, slopes, ditches, or other locations as designated, construction of sods, ditches, checks, or similar appurtenances as shown on the plans or as ordered and laid out in the field by the engineer, all in accordance with this specification. So the next one is before we proceed to the material requirements. So let us first define what is sodding. So sod is a grass that that's been extracted from rich grasslands with the roots still attached to the surface of the soil for easy integration of any plot of land. So these sod grass are used in landscaping for personal or in our backyards and also for commercial use. The next thing is to know the material requirements for sodding. So the sod shall consist of healthy, dense, and well-rooted growth of permanent and desirable grasses. The grass on the sod shall have the length of approximately 50 millimeters. The sod shall be cut into uniform squares approximately 300 millimeters by 300 millimeters. Also, the thickness of the sod shall be uniform as possible, approximately 40 millimeters or more depending on the nature of the sod. In the event that sod is to be cut in a dry condition, apply water sufficient quantities for at least 12 hours before cutting to provide well moistened condition. Sod shall be subject to approval of the engineer. So, uh, the next uh, subsection is the construction requirements. So we have here four construction requirements: the preparation of bed, placing the sod, staking the sod, top dressing, and watering. So for preparation of the earth bed, the area to be sodded shall be constructed to the cross section and contour, and the tops and bottoms of the slopes shall be rounded as shown in the typical roadway sections. The areas to be sodded shall be free from stones, roots, or any other undesirable foreign materials. The soil on the area to be sodded shall be loosened and brought to reasonably fine textures to a depth of not less than 30 millimeters by means of equipment on hand methods adapted for the purpose. So the next one is the placing the sod. So the earth bed upon which the sod is to be placed shall be moistened to the loosened depth, if not naturally sufficient moist, and the sod shall be placed thereon within 24 hours after the same has been cut. Unless otherwise required, the sod on slopes shall be laid on horizontal strips beginning at the bottom of the slope and working upwards. When placing the sod in ditches or and in the construction of sod ditch checks or similar appurtenances, the length of the strips shall be laid at right angles to the direction of the flow of the water. So for staking the sod on the slope steeper than 1 vertical to 4 horizontal, sod shall be pegged with stakes 200 millimeters to 300 millimeters in length, spaced as required by nature of the soil and steepness of slope. Stakes shall be driven into the sod at right angles to the slope until flush with the bottom of grass blades. And next is the top dressing. So after staking after staking has been completed, the, sur- the surface shall be cleared of loose sand, excess soil, or other foreign materials, whereupon a thin layer of topsoil shall be scattered over the sod as a top dressing, and the areas shall then be thoroughly moistened by sprinkling with water. And lastly, we have the watering. So the contractor shall regularly water and maintain sodded area in a satisfactory condition for the duration of the contract and until the final acceptance of the work by the engineer. So that's it for the construction requirements. So now let's proceed to method of measurement. So sodding shall be measured by the square meter, and the quantity to be measured for the payment shall be the actual number of square meters of the area on which the sod has been placed in accordance with this specification and within the limit of construction as designated on the plans ordered by the engineer. And lastly, we have the basis of payment. The quantity as determined in method of measurement shall be paid for at contract unit price per square meters for sodding, which price and payment shall be full compensation for preparing the bed, for furnishing, for placing, staking, top dressing, and watering the sod, and for all labor, equipment, tools, and incidental necessary to complete the item. So now let us proceed to the next item, the item 611, tree planting. So being described in the blue book, this item shall consist of furnishing and planting of deciduous shade, flowering trees, and evergreen trees less than 150 millimeters in diameter on the areas and in the arrangement indicated on the plans or as indicated by the engineer, including the digging and preparation of pocket holes, furnishing and placing necessary topsoil, mulch, water, fertilizer, and other incidental necessary to complete the item. So now let us define what is tree planting. So I know that we already have an idea what is tree planting because it is common to us, and we already performed it during our high school maybe. So here, tree planting is described as the process of transplanting tree seedlings, generally for forestry, land reclamation, and landscaping purpose. So like sodding, tree planting is for landscaping purpose as well. So it involves planting seedlings over an area of land where the forest has been harvested or damaged by fire, disease, or human activity. So what are the what material requirements for tree planting? So we have here three material requirements: the topsoil, mulching and trees waiting. So for in terms of construction method, next in terms of construction methods, we have here the balling of plants and trees, digging plants, temporary storage and plant spray, laying out of planting, roots and top pruning, pocket holes, backfill, planting, mulching, watering and maintenance, bracing, and dead trees. Weeds. So for balding of plants and trees, balding is employed in plants and trees to be transplanted and transferred. To bald out the trees, the depth to which the root system reaches its first is first determined. So for digging plants, all plants nursery grown or collected shall be dug with the care and skill immediately before shipping and avoiding all possible injury to the plants, loss or damage of roots, particularly attention being given to the roots in in this respect. So after plants are dug, their roots shall be permitted to dry out. They shall not be exposed to hot temperature, and all plants shall be dug in dormant state and shall be held until planted. So the next construction method is the temporary storage and the plant spray. So after delivery and inspection, the plants shall be sprayed with an approved anti-dis in disinfectant prior to planting, healing in, or storing, except in the case of collected stock which shall not healed in or stored but shall be sprayed with anti-dissectant immediately and planted with 36 hours after digging. So such emergency storage of plant shall be at entire risk of contractor including the maintenance of same. So next is laying of planting. So before digging of pocket holes or beds, the contractor shall lay out by suitable staking the location of pocket holes and beds, and the layout of planting shall be approved by the engineer. So the next one is roots and pruning. So the ends and of broken and damaged roots, 6 mm diameter or larger, shall be pruned with a clean cut, removing no more than the injured portion. All plants shall be pruned to balance the top and with the root keeping the natural shape of the species. So next we have pocket holes. Pocket holes. So pocket holes shall be dug at the location shown on the plans or as directed by the engineer. So the hole shall be dug to depth and cross section specified and should be sufficient size to provide for not less than 150 millimeters of topsoil backfill beneath and around the root system. The hole shall be dug with the sides vertical. Surplus excavation from the bed or pocket holes shall be disposed of as directed by the engineer. So after the pocket holes, we have backfill. So the pocket holes shall be backfilled with the topsoil as each plant is set. The topsoil shall be well tamped by the workers' feet, rods, or other approved tamping devices as it is shoveled into the holes. The backfill in the holes on slope shall be built up on the lower side to catch and hold water. During planting, the topsoil surrounding the plant be slightly depressed to hold water. Then we have plantings. So the plants to be planted shall be the species, variety, and size specified. The operation and of actual planting shall not be performed at any time when the soil is not in a friable or workable condition. The engineer shall also approve the location of each individual plant, taking into consideration its size and shape, in order that the best possible arrangement will result. So, next is the tree planting along National Road. So, the trees to be used for this purpose shall be the varieties of root systems of which grow downward rather than sideward to avoid situations where the roots spread sideward and consequently destroy the road and sidewalk slabs. Then we have mulching. So within 24 hours after planting, mulching materials shall be spread to cover the plant hole and the area 150 mm outside the periphery of the plant hole. The depth and application for wood chips shall be a minimum of 150 millimeters. For ground and crushed corn cobs, sawdust, or peat moss, the minimum depth shall be 100 millimeters. So, now we have the watering and maintenance. So all plants shall be watered during the planting operations, subject to the direction and approval of the engineer. From time to time during the life of contract, sufficient water shall be applied so that not only will the topsoil backfill about each plant be kept moist, but also for moisture to extend in surrounding soil. Then we have the bracing. So all deciduous and evergreen trees shall be braced immediately after planting. So the deciduous trees from 1.2 meters to 1.8 meters in height shall have one vertical support stake. For trees from 1.8 meters to 2.5 meters in height shall be two vertical supports. And lastly, we have dead trees. So before completion and final acceptance of the project, all trees that are not healthy or that have died back into the ground or beyond the normal pruning line shall be replaced by the contractor at his own expense with trees of the specified species or variety, size and quantity and meeting the specification. So those are the uh, construction methods. So now let us proceed to the method of measurement. So for tree planting, the quantity to be paid for shall be the number of the trees of each species or variety called for in the plants furnished, planted, and accepted with necessary mulch, topsoil, water, fertilizer, and other incidental to complete the item. Next is the basis of payment. So the quantities as determined in method of method of measurement rather, shall be paid for the contract unit price of the trees of each species or variety furnished, planted and accepted with which price and payment shall constitute full compensation for furnishing all labor, tools, and incidental necessary to complete the item. Then now we have the last item for my report. This is the reflective thermoplastic stripping materials, item 612. So, um, being described in the Blue Book, this standard specifies the requirement for reflectorized thermoplastic pavement stripping material conforming to AASHTO M249 that is applied to the road surface in a molten state by mechanical means with surface application of glass beads at a rate of not less than 300 grams per liter of glass beads having a size range of drop-in type and will produce an adherent reflectorized stripe of specified thickness and width capable for resisting deformation by traffic. So, I think many of us doesn't or is not yet familiar with these reflectorized thermoplastic stripping materials. So, now let us know by defining what is what it is. So, reflectorized thermoplastic stripping materials are super durable substance containing binders, bright pigmentation, and tiny glass beads. The pigments make the road markings and pavement markings stand out during the daytime and at night. The glass beads cause extremely visible reflectivity. So, on the other hand, the binders in thermoplastic make it adhere to surface and last wait and last much longer than regular paint. So by looking at this picture here, we um, we can say that we already have knowledge about the reflective thermoplastic stripping material since this picture is very familiar to us. So I think this white white lines here are for pedestrian purposes, and this yellow line here is placed at the center of the road. So both this yellow and white colors have different function on the road. So it is basically important to know their functions as well. So the next uh, subsection is the material requirements. So the first requirement is reflectorized thermoplastic pavement materials shall be homogeneously composed of pigment, filter, resins, and glass reflectorizing spheres. The thermoplastic material shall be available to both white and yellow color. So second, the glass beads premix shall be uncoated and shall comply with the following requirements. So these requirements include the minimum refractive index, which is 1.50. The spheres or minimum spheres in percent, we have 90%. And the gradation, we have here two columns, receive and the mass percent passing in mm. So first, we have for receive 0.850, that's 100% passing. For 0.600, that's 75 to 95% passing. For 0.425, since it is not indicated but we can see the range here, that's 35 to 75% passing. And for 180 still, for 300, that's 15 to 35. And for 180, since it is not also shown here, so we can actually see that as well. So that's 5 to 35% um, passing. And for 0.150 sieve, we have 0 to 5% passing. So the next um, thing is the composition requirements, still under the general requirements for reflective thermoplastic stripping materials. So the pigment, beads, and filter shall be uniformly dispersed and in the resin. So the materials shall be free from all skins, dirt, and foreign objects, and shall comply to the requirements as specified in Table 612.1. So Table 612.1 is about the composition requirements. So here you can see the component, the colors, which is white and yellow. So as observed in the table, we can conclude that both white and yellow have the same is the same quantity in terms of their component. So let us not make it broad. So the next the next general requirements is the qualitative requirements. So this is shown in table 612.2. So here we can also see that both white and yellow have the same requirements. So what is their difference is that as being said earlier, white and yellow colors have different functions in roads and highways. So though they have the same the same composition and the same qualitative requirements. So the next thing is the application properties. So the materials shall be readily extrude at a temperature of 211 plus minus 7 degrees Celsius from approved equipment to produce a line 3.2 to 4.8 millimeters thick, which shall be continuous and uniform in shape, having clear and sharp dimensions. The material shall not exude fumes which are toxic, obnoxious, and injurious to person or properly when heated to um, uh, when heated during applications. So the application of additional beads by drop-in method shall be at rate of not less than 350 grams per liter of glass beads, having a size range of drop-in type And the type size of range spheres of drop-in size paints is as follows. So passing rate per micrometer, that's number 20 sieve, and retained on 250 micrometer numbers 600 sieve. The percent here is 80 to 100%. So still under the application of properties, we have here the process. So the process for applying the reflective thermoplastic stripping materials. So we have the preparation of road surface. So we need to ensure that our road surface is free from those foreign materials or dirts. The next is preparation of thermoplastic materials. So here we need to ensure that our thermoplastic materials have those standards, those standard composition and those standard qualitative requirements. And we have also here the laying and the reuse of thermoplastic materials. So next, this is still under the application properties. So we have defective materials or workmanship. So materials which are defective or have been applied in an unsatisfactory manner or incorrect dimensions or in wrong location shall be removed. The road pavement shall be made good and materials replaced, reconstructed and or properly located at all at the constructor's expenses and satisfaction of engineer. So there's no room of mistake on that. Then the next one is the protection of the traffic. So this is one of the most important thing here. So the construction shall protect pedestrians, which are the humans, the vehicles, the and other traffic adjacent to working the area against damage or disfigurement by construction equipment, tools, and materials, or by spatters, splashes, and smearshes, or paints or other construction materials, and during the course of the work, provide and maintain adequate signs and signals for warning and guidance of traffic. So next is the sampling. So sampling is in sampling a minimum weight of 10 kilograms of reflectorized thermoplastic paint shall be taken for every 100 bags of or fraction thereof. And for testing, the material shall be tested in accordance with the ASHTO T250 or with the appropriate method in ASTM designation. So we also have packing and marking. So the material shall be packed in a suitable containers to which it will not adhere during shipments and storage. The blocks of cast thermoplastic materials shall be approximately 300 millimeters by 915 millimeters by 51 millimeters and shall weigh approximately 23 kilograms. So each container label shall designate the color, manufacturer's name, batch number, and date of manufacture. Each batch manufactured shall have its own separate number, and the label shall warn the user that the materials shall be heated to 211 plus minus 700 degrees Celsius during the application. Then now let us proceed to method of measurement. So the quantity of pavement marking to be paid for shall be the area as shown in the plans of painted traffic line or of the stated width and area shown on the plans of symbols, lettering, hatching, and the like completed and accepted. So the quantity shown in the bill of quantities represents the approximate quantity in square meters of pavement markings with width as shown applied at the center line of the road pavements, to which may be increased or decreased depending on engineer's decision whether to require the markings no additional markings or delete parts of it. So, next is the basis of payment. So, the quantities measured determined determined method of measurement shall be paid for at the appropriate contract unit price for the pay items shown in the bid schedule, which price and payment shall constitute full compensation for furnishing and placing of all materials, sampling and packing for preparation of the surface, and for labor, equipment, tools, and other incidental necessary to complete the item. So to summarize my report, uh, I I discussed about the sodding, the tree planting, and the reflective thermoplastic stripping materials. So the most noticeable, important, or significant point here in my report is basically on the part of um, ensuring the safety of uh, the pedestrian, the vehicles, and the road users. So is in the latter part of my report. So it is important to have those signals and signages for the guidance of the vehicles to avoid accidents and further damage. So what in the end, what's most important is the life of the public. So that would conclude my report, and thank you and keep safe everyone. Aray. Apa jud na kuan?
Kapoy na ba?